Well, good evening, everybody. It's lovely to see you all again, and it's especially exciting tonight. We've got a new guest, Julio. We're going to come to you in a second and talk about introductions, but we've also got the winner of our Lockdown Locked competition. So I'm really excited, and we've got the before, the after, and we've got the actual here virtually. So that is really good. So just before I introduce the winner, let's just quickly go around and just say hello to everybody. Sophie, if you can say who you are first of all, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I'm Sophie. I work for Amanda in the constituency office for Derby North.
Lovely. I was going to say me next because I'm on my screen next, but I know who I am. Carl, are you with us? No. Matt?
Hi, Amanda. Councillor Matthew Holmes, Deputy Leader of Derby City Council. Glad to be here once again. How many weeks is it now?
I look forward to seeing you every Thursday night. It's brilliant. Who else we got? Julio.
Julio Abraham, Derby City Mission Chief Executive.
And just so wonderful to see. I've seen so long since I've seen you. And then next we've got Ian.
Yes, Ian Hodgkinson, Hodgkinson Builders, property developers, builders, and extraordinaires, based on Property Park. And it's my second time on here, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'd be good.
It's really, really lovely to have you.
The weather looks really nice where Ian is. I'm not quite sure if that's is that a green? That must be a green screen, mustn't it?
Matthew, I'm going to have to let you know that it's a false background.
Never.
Talking of real backgrounds, here's the real deal. Just joining us now. Who are you, Carl?
Hi, Carl Tringwillis, Community Development Manager at Derby City Council and working as part of the Community Response Hub.
Brilliant. And I got to see you yesterday, which was really nice.
You did.
You can see people, it's just so great. But you still can't hug them. But anyway, so before we get started on our normal conversations, I just have a really exciting announcement. We did a Lockdown Locks competition for a very coveted trophy, which I have in my hand. And Sophie, before we announce the winner, one of my favourites, I don't know if you can pull up Matt, who works in our office, but this was his before look. Can we just have a quick look at this, because it just makes me so happy.
Can you all
Look
see
at that, Matt, that just makes me so happy. I'm going to give you a special prize all of my own, actually, because that was glorious. Did you have the after of that?
Yeah.
You just have the before.
Here's the after.
Yeah, see the after.
That's Matt's after. Can you see it?
No, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Just take that down, that's fine. Okay. But we had a winner, resounding winners. Can we see the before? Because we're going to see the real life after. So the before on this one.
Here's the before.
Before, and then let's see the after. Can we see the, imagine it's grown again now. Here we go.
That was the after.
Look at that. That is incredible. I think you'll all agree that is just so brilliant. So if we can get rid of the screen, I want to try and virtually give you this. Hal, well done. Can I ask, how are you feeling about getting this prestigious award?
Oh, brilliant. Greatest honour of my life. Although the moustache is still there, but the rest of the beard's grown now.
Oh.
And the rest of the hair's there.
Oh,
But,
I'm so delighted. I mean, I've even got it upside down, but let me show you here. Look, there you go. You can
very
see
nice.
It's got a hairdryer. It's got
Oh.
some scissors on it. We can probably try and get your name on it. But next time I see you, we must make sure we give you this. Cal, just a bit about yourself. I mean, I think I know I've met you a few times, but just so people know, I know you've got to go, but just who you are and.
Yeah, I'm Cal Singh Dinser, born and raised in Derby. Spent my whole life here. I'm 40 years old now. Currently working as a science technician. Used to be a science teacher before that. These days I'm also a writer, an author and a poet. And it's quite coincidental. I've actually written a poem for Ian Hodgkinson in the past before about his company called Ben. So yeah, I write poems about Derby folk and my heroes and heroines of Derby.
Brilliant. Well, look, would you mind coming back in a couple of weeks' time and staying with us for the whole session? Because it would just be absolutely brilliant. And we'd love to hear some of that poetry, if that's okay.
Definitely. And if Ian's on, I can read his out again.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we can make that happen. It's not beyond doing that. But honestly, and now poet extraordinaire, author, and now proud owner of the trophy. Look, I put it upside down again. Well done. A round of applause, everybody. That was brilliant. Well done. Fantastic. Yay. See you again very soon. Thanks. Take care. Bye.
Goodbye.
Right, Sophie, let's have the first question then.
You muted, Sophie.
So I just can't. How many times do we say that? Yes.
What are your thoughts on single adults being able to form bubbles with other households?
Oh, that's a nice one. Ian, what are your thoughts on that? The bubble.
I'm quite glad you've asked me that one, to be quite honest. I think it's very important. We've got a young surveyor working for us, and she had, I think she'd been isolating, for the period, and she just needs to get out. She's absolutely totally fed up of being on her own, and to be in another, to be with a family and just to interact is absolutely fabulous. And the constraints of being on your own and the mental impact that it would be giving you, it's just immense. So I think these things have got to be done, and we've got to slowly get back into situations where we can have a little bubble, and interact. It's all for our own sanity, really, and it's very, very, very important, Amanda.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely. Matt, obviously you've got your daughters as well. Are they able to take advantage of the bubble situation?
No, because my youngest daughter is with us at the moment. She normally lives in Leicester to do her studies at her performance college. And my eldest daughter is down south working with ITV, and she's with her boyfriend's family at the moment. So no, unfortunately, it's it's the way it is, isn't it? But I think it's wonderful for my mother-in-law, for example. She lives on her own at the moment, so that's good. And I think it's a wonderful thing, and it just shows you we are moving forward slowly, where slowly but surely, hopefully, we can start to reunite families together, in a more permanent way. So I think it's great, but it's just one of the small steps towards some kind of normality.
No, absolutely. Julio, what about you? Do you know anybody who's taken advantage of the bubbles?
Well, I've got a friend of mine where he's a graduate here working with the water company, and he's been alone for the whole lockdown, really, which is kind of challenging. But what we've done is we've gone cycling, keeping the social distance as best as we can, and he's younger and faster, so that's not a problem right there. But the only challenge is when we stop to share cake. You always bring cake when we're up in the Peak District. We have to sort of make sure that we're moving like this, if you can see what I'm saying, making sure there's 2 meters there. It's difficult for them, and I think Ian mentioned mental health issues. Depression and mental health could be a big problem if people are isolated, really. But I think he's very excited that he's able to go and see his family, actually, this weekend for the first time.
That is really, really good.
Yeah.
And what about from a city missions point of view? I mean, have people been isolated, individually? I mean, have you seen much of it? I'm just interested.
Well, we most of our what we call guests, or in your language, clients, have been in the hotel, as you know.
Yeah.
In Pride Park. So we've had over 60, in fact, 141 individual homeless people staying there. And they've been able to, socially distance. But, I bought a lot of sports equipment for them to at least keep them, like basketball, where they can play individually without actually playing in a team. And so it's been difficult, it's been chaotic, but actually we've managed to find a way in the 2.5 months of keeping them occupied.
Yeah, it must have been quite challenging, Carl, because I know that you've been sort of working as well with. How are the bubbles affecting people you work with?
Well, I think, I mean, just to pick on the point that Julio was just saying there, the work they've done at the hotel has been absolutely fantastic, and Derby City Mission have been at the forefront of that. So, and I've been actually down to the hotel on a couple of occasions and seen them all outside exercising and keeping physically fit and mentally fit. So, I mean, as far as the bubble, you know, it's just the progressive way in which, you know, we've followed the guidance before, and we're now at a stage where we can move to this next stage. You know, for a lot of people like me who've been out working throughout this, it doesn't necessarily change anything for us, but certainly for some of the some colleagues who have been, you know, there are certainly some colleagues who are going to massively benefit from this, and indeed some people in the community. And I suppose the key thing is, isn't it, it's those people who are single and have really experienced that isolation. Now there is an option open to them to be able to reconnect, not just via Zoom or by phone, but actually in person. So it's great.
It is interesting, actually. We've got some people we work with who live alone, and it has been really challenging. You know, and I know, you know, they live in sort of different parts of the country. Yeah, it is. You don't realise how much isolation can have an impact. And actually, for me, I've been having virtual meetings, and then I was in London this week as an example, and then coming out and doing some essential visits. And seeing people physically is so much more different to seeing people virtually, isn't it? It really is. Yeah, absolutely. Sophie, let's have the second question, please. I'll come to you first on this, Matt.
Second question is, do you agree that the announcement of free school meals over the summer holidays will help hundreds, if not thousands, of families across the UK?
Yeah, totally agree. I think it's going to be great for many families. So, you know, I'm glad the government has decided that they want to back it, and yeah, it's great news.
Carl?
Certainly. You know, we often engage in holiday hunger programs in the city, and a number of our community and voluntary sector partners will run those schemes throughout the 6 weeks holidays. Obviously, they're currently at capacity supporting, you know, the wider challenges that we have. So anything that makes it easier for our families who, you know, perhaps are struggling the most, then I'm all for it. And it certainly relieves a bit of pressure on us locally as well.
And how would you have dealt with it locally? How do people get access to the support that you are still able to offer, I assume?
So in the sense of holiday hunger schemes, or currently, so we coordinate through, not us as a city council, again, the voluntary sector are firmly in the driving seat. We support the voluntary sector connecting, so that there is a number of clubs that operate cook, eat, play, stay and play and eat. There's a variety of them across the city, and we basically support those groups to provide that service ordinarily. So obviously a lot of those groups are engaged in the food distribution hubs, so it's an additional pressure that they don't need to take on, thanks to the government's announcement.
And am I right in thinking, I don't know whether Matt, you know this, or actually anybody knows this, are there sort of breakfast clubs as well that operate all the time for children? Is that something that's available?
Well, right now, obviously everything's affected right now, but I believe there was after school clubs, breakfast clubs going on throughout the city in schools. But obviously right now that's all impacted, because clearly the situation of what we've been dealing with over the last few months. But yes, those sort of schemes are going on across the city and elsewhere.
Yeah, because it is proven, isn't it, that if you have a meal, you know, your mind just works so much better, that you can function on things. Ian, what about yourself? What do you think about the meal vouchers?
I think it's brilliant, and I think that the fact that the government and Boris Johnson has listened to is it Marcus Rashford? I think it's brilliant. And I actually watched the interview on the Monday morning, and Boris had reacted, you know, a few hours later, and I think they're quite right. And what might seemingly be the calm before the storm at the moment is, and I know there's going to be percentage of people out there already that are desperate for the kids to have the meal vouchers. But I think going forward, as much as the government has tried to help, that there might be a few more redundancies going through the summer and into the autumn. I think we're yet to see the full impact, but the help is going to be absolutely immense. So yeah, it's more than welcome, and it's heartfelt, to be honest.
Yeah, Julio, do you is this an audience that you talk about? You know, your guests, but would it be helpful to any of your guests, or?
So I don't know if you know this, but Derby City Mission is actually the pioneer of the whole food bank movement. We've been passionate in the UK about providing food to those in need. So one of our passions is actually to eradicate extreme poverty, and hunger or food, you know, is right up there. So we are actually at the moment providing food with the council around the city. I think there's probably close to 11 or thereabouts food banks right now, giving families real food and helping families. And we also work with the Jubilee clinics, which are to do with death and welfare advice. And through that platform, we distribute a lot of food. In fact, it's grown by 300% since the lockdown. And I think in total, we are distributing, correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, or even Matt, distributing over probably 600 to 800 parcels per week, which is a lot. So we are providing a lot of food out there in the city.
What occurs to me, and maybe Matt, you know this, but you just said at the beginning when you were talking, Julio, I don't know if you know this, and I wasn't aware. I mean, I know the great work that Derby City Mission does, obviously. But
the first food bank was called Basics Bank, and it was from Corn Drive in Alex Street. The very first food bank in Europe, actually. The Americans were in the 60s. We started 30 years ago.
Gosh, and I think my point was going to be, I mean, that's really good that we're sort of leading in the way that we help people. But there must be other hidden things around that we don't hear of. Do you get to hear of all these amazing, rich support networks that are out there? Or Carl, maybe you might speak to that.
Well, I mean, Carl is the person that will tell you right now what he's experienced and what he's been part of leading that whole team. And it was there already, but I'll pass over to Carl in a second, because I'm sure what he's going to say will be along the lines of, we knew it was there already, working really well across the city, but what's actually occurred over the last few months as a result of the lockdown and the response to COVID-19 has really consolidated that. It's brought lots of people together that were already there, and community organisations and volunteers, far more volunteers working together now in a wider network. And for me, the challenge now and the opportunity is to actually continue that and work at ways to actually really take that forward, and really the opportunities are kind of endless. And I think that I'll pass over to Carson waffling a little bit, but he'll explain it better than me. I think he knows what I'm trying to say, really, in terms of what the opportunities might be.
Yeah, I never think you waffle, by the way, Matt, because I'm always really interested.
I talk too much.
No, honestly, you always have so interesting. I could listen to you all night. Carl?
Yeah, Matt's absolutely right. You know, there's a very vibrant movement in the city, and the community and voluntary sector and the faith sector are very much at the forefront of that. And of course, you know, we were able to, you know, reach out to our voluntary sector partners right at the very beginning, and work together through those connections that they had. They've got an incredible food forum network, which are a whole host of different types of food providers. So, you know, you've got to imagine it isn't just about food banks and it isn't just about food parcels, but, you know, community meals, such as one that Head High does and the YMCA, they all play a really important part in tackling social isolation and all the additional issues that surround food. What we're really, and Julio is absolutely right, I think Derby is absolutely pioneering still, in the sense that what COVID's done is given us an opportunity to really galvanise the connection between the sector and pull in some of those organisations who maybe carried on and did their own thing regardless, Actually, we've been able to coordinate it a lot better. The central storage unit is a church that, when you walk into it, really does look like a food warehouse. It's an absolutely exceptional system they've set up, and that supplies food through an electronic ordering system, believe it or not. You know, this isn't doing a picking list on paper. Actually, our food distribution hubs do an electronic shopping list that is picked from the central storage unit and then delivered by Skyvans, Sky being the company, but they lent us some ones. They actually go out and deliver the food to the local food distribution hubs, who then ensure it goes to those people in need. You know, this is something that was put together in about a week.
Yeah.
You know, it's absolutely incredible, and I will forever be in awe of what the Food Forum and the steering group have done. And you're absolutely right. CAVA's given us an opportunity to say, well, actually, that's worked really, really well. What do we do to keep that? And I am actually really excited to say that, you know, there is a real appetite within the sector to keep that going as well. And so over the last couple of weeks, the Food Forum steering group, again led by the sector, have put together a proposal called Food for Thought. It's a really exciting, innovative scheme that encapsulates everything from individuals plating up extra meals for neighbours, to the community meals, to the assistance food, which is the traditional food bank, all the way through to emergency food. So, you know, they've absolutely got it nailed. And I know today, actually, that consultation's gone out with all the Food Forum members, so they're all the food providers in the city. And hopefully next week, there will be a really exciting announcement made about that scheme moving forward. So watch this space.
Yeah, I know that'd be great. I look forward to hearing that. And you just hit on something really important as well. I mean, all of it's important. But this week, I think it's Loneliness Week, or you know, acknowledging loneliness. And that was one of the premises behind the community meal. And we forget about that actually when you eat together, there's something rather wonderful, sharing stories or sharing food. And that's a lot of the premise. And it's one of the greatest gifts I think you can do, is to really combat loneliness in that.
And I think, Amanda, there's a key thing there as well. You know, people talk about food. You know, food isn't just about hunger. You know, and also when we're therefore talking in the context of food, we've got to stop talking about food as being, you know, the forefront of it. Yes, of course, it's essential, but really it's about people. You know, and the minute that we get beyond it, just, you know, nobody just wants to hand out a food parcel to somebody, because that doesn't, you know, that doesn't do anything to help those individuals get out of the situation they're in. And I think that's what I'm really proud about the sector in the city, is they get that. And Julio mentioned the Jubilee project. It's an absolutely fantastic service, that is, and it's owned and it's led by the voluntary sector. You know, fantastic.
Always, every week, I feel so humbled when you talk about the work that everybody does in the city. So thanks for reminding us of that, Carl. Sophie, let's have the next question.
How are construction and refurbishment projects managing to move forward in accordance to guidelines?
Oh, I think probably everybody has something to say, because I know everybody's got sort of some involvement. I'd love in this, I'm going to come to you first, Julio, but Matt, I'd love an update on the bridge as well, if we can, because you know, when it moved. Julio, what about yourselves? Because you've got a massive project, haven't you, starting or something?
That's right. So we are, I think, better be careful, because I got the authorities on online here, and this is being recorded.
They can't hear. It's all right. Cover your ears.
If the press release has been done, it should be saying Safe Space is opening at 10 Normanton Road this week. I understand it went out on Tuesday. I haven't seen it yet. So yeah, Safe Space is now complete. That capital project was quite in danger at the beginning of COVID, because of you know, the clear guidelines from the government, and also to try and protect lives as a whole. But we found a way of actually just bringing different tradesmen, like plasterers on their own and plumbers on their own, and the project was actually delivered on time. And we are able to open actually even before tomorrow, which is the last day at the hotel. So we've had a week of actually welcoming guests and clients, and it's going very well. That's one part of.
And what is it exactly? What is a safe space? What's the premise?
Safe space, if I can describe it this way, is a multi-agency entrenched homeless provision in the city. The council, the police and crime commissioner, as you know, the police, Public Health England, and us in the charity sector have come together to look at the issue of entrenched homelessness in Derby and to actually answer that issue in a very engaging, very powerful, very impactful way. In fact, out of the 141 people who have stayed in the hotel, most of them, we found solutions for them. And here's something in terms of impact. In the first week of moving into the hotel, there's a lot of drug dealers coming around to try and sell the stuff. And we had security, and our staff were able to move them away. As you know, we accept people as they are. That's the whole point. You know, we don't wait till they're ready to be clean. But what happened is, by them not accessing these substances, a lot of them actually have stopped taking drugs altogether.
Wow.
Which is amazing. So so that's what we do. We're trying to help the entrenched homeless. And then the two aspects in 10NR are also, or 10 Normanton Road as we call it, are to do with this wellness. And this is really one of your passions, Amanda, is to create a wellness hub where we not only address symptoms, which we will continue to address, things like putting food on the table, giving clothing, and we rely on you as well, Amanda, on that. And of course, a roof over their head, which the council is really leading and helping us with that. We'll continue to do that. We'll continue to do the debt and welfare advice. But more importantly, we want to actually move from support only to caring as well, where we begin to address causes. And we have identified 5 in particular, and this community hub will look into broken relationships, mental health, addictions, low skills or no skills, and indeed criminal behavior. And then upstairs, they've given me a fantastic office. You should come and have a look.
Oh, of course.
We've got our headquarters there.
I'm going to have to move on, but I can't wait to come and have a look. I really, as soon as I can, I'd love to come and have a look. Okay. Ian, what about yourself? I mean, obviously, construction's your thing, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, we are working back on every site now, so we've got about 10 sites, and they're all open, but they're all going, as you can imagine, at a much reduced pace. And most of our work is house building, so we can limit the amount of trades we do have on site. So it's in some capacity it's one trade per house, one tradesman per house.
Okay.
We've got a system where it's like a hotel room, and it's like a do not disturb sign on the front. So they'll, and when that tradesman comes out, he can switch it round so it's a green sign, and then the next tradesman can go in. So that's what we've implemented. We've got sort of a COVID policeman on site as such, and making sure that everybody adheres to the rules. And the funny thing is, Amanda, that everybody seems to be being respectful to that. As you can imagine, sometimes you get builders that can be thinking that they perhaps know better, but no, everybody's toeing the line, and they're all being respectful, and they're all keeping the distances. We've brought in some additional PPE. We've got visors. We've got additional gloves and covering. So everybody's got the extra protection as such. We've got timed washrooms. We've got limited washrooms. So it's only 1 or 2 persons in there at a safe distance. They're being cleaned on a regular basis. We've got additional risk assessments, method statements that are being, the site induction when they come on. So we're able to, they know what the site rules are. so some of the guys will realise this, but they are taking it on board. And we've also got a new developed phone which is made by Caterpillar, which is also a thermal imaging camera. So we test people's temperatures, so which may be a indication that there could be something wrong, and if there is, then obviously they're advised to go and take a test. So yeah, we're doing all we can under the circumstances, talking to clients, talking to people that are buying the houses. They're all realizing that things are going to take a little bit longer. Materials, plaster, the rumours you've heard about plaster are true. Bags of plaster at the moment are costing £50 on eBay. So yeah, materials have gone up through the roof, and it's the just-in-time ordering that we used to have. So if you wanted something today, you get it delivered to site tomorrow. Ain't happening. It's 7 to 10 days. So there's a little bit more thought that's got to go into what we're doing. If you want materials in a week or a week and a half's time, you've got to plan it. You've got to plan it, because you're going to miss your slot otherwise. So it's a bit more of an intelligent way of going on. There's a lot more planning and programming. So yeah, it's
thank you.
So it's got some challenges. But
I'm sure you're overcoming it. It sounds like you've come up with some ingenious ideas. Matt, I'll come to you next, and then Carl as well, because I guess you do have some daily challenges. But Matt, any sort of construction updates?
Well, yeah, the A52 bridge is an example. The bridge lift was delayed because of COVID, and just a really background of what went on behind the scenes there was that working practices had to be rewritten and tested and ensure they were safe with all the risk assessments and everything. So it was just one of the challenges was actually constructing the crane that was brought in, because the manual required two people to be in very close proximity to each other whilst they, fix the bolts and all the whatever they have to do. I mean, I'm not a construction worker, so but yeah, it basically said two people, one check this, one stand there, and that wasn't adhering to social distancing, so it couldn't happen. So they had to go back, check with the manufacturers, check that the risk assessment was correct and the working practice, and come back with a new way of working, which is the whole thing that Ian's explained there. And then eventually we were able to, well, not eventually, I was delighted with how quickly it actually got sorted out. The construction partners worked out a new way of doing things, put that into place, did everything they needed to do to ensure that it would be a safe lift and they could do it, and we rescheduled. And I think that's what everyone's doing. It's just a case of finding ways to work safely around the restrictions, and thankfully in that case we were able to do so. And I was absolutely delighted with how well the bridge lift actually worked with all those new restrictions. It was great work by everybody concerned.
It was amazing. And is there anything else going on in the city that we should know about? Any updates on anything?
Well, there's loads. I mean, we've got the Beckett Well, the Debenhams demolition, that's slightly delayed, but again, we're working around that, and the teams that are doing that are moving forward. So there's a whole lot of things in the pipeline and currently ongoing. The swimming pool is now starting to move forward in terms of construction as well at more ways. Really excited with the swimming pool and water park build. So it hasn't just stopped. We've continued with the major projects as best we can, both physically with our partners and also in the background our focus has been on the COVID response, but we've had obviously ensuring that where we can, we've moved forward with all our major projects and plans and move forward as much as we can, because that's important for the city to recover as quickly as possible. And we've got some really exciting plans to move forward.
We've been talking about the recovery plan, as you know, and there are some incredibly exciting things happening in Derby. And everything I'm hearing from all of you just makes me so proud of what we're doing when the city comes together collectively. Carl, do you have is maintenance a challenge, or do you still, from a city point of view?
I think for me, obviously, we work with a lot of charities and organisations in the city in the voluntary sector, and there are, just as private industry, a number of those were midway through construction projects, and they've experienced the same challenges. Ian Hodgkinson will know, because we've worked together on a few projects in the past, that sometimes you start a project without enough money to finish it. And so actually, you know, sometimes it's a bit more fluid when some of these projects are done in the voluntary sector. So any uncertainty makes it even more uncertain. But true resilience comes through. There is a community centre that's been named after the late Annie Hall, that one of our partners, Umbrella, is developing. You know, obviously there were some challenges for them to carry on with the work. That was another grand design refurbishment project. But, you know, everyone's kind of pulled together and done what you can do. And in fact, we put a shout out on Facebook for some plaster a couple of weeks ago, because like Ian was saying, you couldn't get it for love nor money. But we've been having people donate it, you know, so it's been really, really nice, and that's been great. But they've also, you know, kind of just embraced it. So we have another project called the Lonnie Wilson Croft Building in Morley, and we've been support. They do some fantastic work in that neighbourhood. But they were having a big refurbishment, and interesting. They were just at the point of doing the roof, re-roofing it, when the crisis kicked in. And Dave Merry, give him a bit of a shout out, bless him. He decided to get his lads, whilst tiling the roof, to spell out NHS first.
Oh.
Yeah, no one asked him. He just decided to do it. And do you know what? The number of people that stopped comment on it. So even in the midst of trying to do the construction, they were able to still build in something that kind of, you know, acknowledged and showed the appreciation of what our frontline colleagues were working with. So we are seeing the move gradually now, getting back, you know, some of our new build properties, work has recommenced on that, taking into account everything Ian's outlined. And things are starting to move, but you know, the restrictions will mean that it's difficult to get back to the pace at which we were doing it prior.
Yeah, and yesterday, I mean, there was a great tribute. You talk about tributes, and I know we were talking about, you know, on Thursday nights we don't clap for the NHS, but you've done something, I think, gone one step further, really. If you just want to quickly tell us what, it's just incredible.
Well, if I can give a shout out to the War Memorial Village in Shelton Lock. The team up there they manage a retirement village, which Derby Homes helps support with the management and maintenance of, but just embarked on a £1 million refurbishment, something to take place over the next 20 years, in fact. But during that, they've also been refurbishing their parade ground and their landscape community garden area. And last year they did a cracking job with the War Memorial Parade Ground, and in fact Princess Anne came to open that for them. And then they reached out to us, actually, as a result of this panel, saying that they wanted to do something. So they've basically fundraised through their residents, and they've purchased for the city 2 NHS benches. You'll have to get one on your Facebook. In fact, it's on your Facebook page.
It is on my Facebook, because it
beautifully engineered out of steel, powder coated, wonderful message they came up with for the plaque. And they've had one installed at the main entrance under the Florence Nightingale lantern clock. And the replica bench actually sits proudly at Memorial Square now in Shelton Lock. So if you do get a chance, go and have a look. And you're right, you know, we weren't coming out and clapping on a Thursday night, and that charity wanted to do something that would essentially galvanise the appreciation of the community. And what better way than in steel and with something where you can sit and have a few moments of quiet contemplation.
And I like you say, I was there yesterday, and it is, you can just sit and you feel and you sense. It's for NHS key workers, and it's great. And thank you to all those volunteers who put that together. It's really great. Thank you. Gosh, Sophie, let's have the next question.
So we've had one come in, which says, as it's Cervical Screening Awareness Week, do you think the age for cervical screening should be lowered?
Ooh, Ian, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm all in favour of preventative medicine, to be quite honest. You know, so yeah, let's do it. I mean, if we're not going to get ill in the first place because we've caught it early, that is absolutely phenomenal. And no matter what it is, what cervical cancer or whatever, catch it early, and it's a lot easier to deal with. And I'm an advocate of that. That's, you know, I can buy into that. You know, it's happened to me that you prevent it before it even starts to happen. So I think it's the way forward, and let's capitalise on that. I think it's a brilliant idea.
I think, you know, saying a personal story is really true. And I would say that we must be encouraging people if they think they've got anything, if it's a skin abnormality or anything actually, go to the doctors, because that's what they're saying.
Absolutely. I went for a bowel scope, and they found something, and they whipped it out, and yeah, if it was left, and I'm being open and candid here, that you know, the next 15 years it could have developed into something, and you know, and what was it? It was an hour's operation. You're uncomfortable for a couple of days, but after that you're fine. And you're so grateful, and prostate examination as well. Had that, you know, fine. But a group of friends, I was with a group of friends. In fact, it was the Masons in Derbyshire have actually paid for every Mason in Derbyshire to have a prostate examination, which is over 600. And I think they found 28 that they found with some sort of issue. So in effect, they've saved 28 lives through the screening. Yeah, so I'm all for it, and it's great. And preventative medicine is absolutely 100% the way forward. So yeah, let's lower the age. Let's get it done. Let's just test.
Thank you, Carl. Anything to add to that?
Well, I think it's as the saying literally goes, prevention is better than cure. And I think, you know, lowering the age at the same time also, you know, promoting as well. You know, we talk a lot about men's health, and you know, there's a stigma attached to men accessing health services and getting checkups. You know, but prevention is better than cure, and you know, testament to what Ian's just said, really. You know, if you can catch it early, in reality, it prevents that longer term impact and that damage. So yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I'm going to come to Julio then Matt next. But Julio, what are your thoughts on prevention?
I mean, I couldn't agree more with the guys. I always believe strongly, my philosophy is if you want to deal with anything, deal with it in front of the issue rather than at the back of it.
Yeah.
So total agreement.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, have you got anything to add to that?
No, I think it's something that always needs to be reviewed. I caught a snippet of the news today, and I haven't got a chance yet to actually look at exactly what was announced from the health secretary. But it's actually reminded me of this situation where I think the increased risk of COVID is going to be announced as 50 and above, which was quite a surprise to me. I'm 50 this year, and it's yeah, I know. And
the club, my brother.
You are.
Well, thank you very much. But the point is that we need to just assess these things, because I think that you know, checks do need to be done earlier, because even if it saves one life more, then it's worth doing. And I think it's great that you know, we're moving towards that, to actually keep reassessing and say, do we need to lower the age limit? And in some cases, you know, maybe an assessment for slightly older, because, you know, they've found new ways of treating, it's less prevalent, whatever it might be. But yeah, always review, always look at how best to save as many lives as possible and get that early treatment, because it saves lives, but it's also better for everybody to get the treatment very early in any illness. So testing should be within reason. It should be lower if possible, and this is a great move.
Yeah, and I would say what we need to do is, personally, is encourage people to go for cervical screening or prostate or whatever we're talking about, because it is, you know, we don't like to talk about it, let's be honest. It's not something that we are obviously talking about it, but it genuinely absolutely saves lives. And in my case, you know, I've always gone for the screening. I don't like going. It's a little bit of discomfort, 10 minutes out of your life, but it does save your life. You know, potentially it really is life-saving. So and breast screening as well, while we're on the subject, and all of these things, and for men as well, you know, just make sure that you check on all of these things. It's absolutely crucial. No, thank you. Sophie, have we got another question? We're probably running out of time, actually, but we get to probably one more.
what can we do to peacefully support the Black Lives Matter movement?
Thank you. Ian, what do you think we could do?
To be honest, from my point of view, I've always treated people as equals, to be quite honest. I don't look at anybody as being any different. I don't talk about any sort of issues that would put people in any sort of categories. Never have done, never will do. Me personally, as people treat me with kindness and they're okay with me, they're nice to me, I'm likewise back, and that's how I've always been. I won't particularly get involved in any protests or go in any marches or anything like that. That's not my style. But you know, I wouldn't say anything against people that do that as long as it is peaceful. But I think when things aren't peaceful, you lose credibility, and I think it goes off track, and they go meandering down another avenue, which may be not really connected with where they started in the first place. So if people who are protesting, I think it's important to keep it respectful, and they get a lot more out of being peaceful and just getting that gentle message out there. And you can do it online these days. They don't have to gather. And I mean, I just wasn't quite comfortable with people coming together in central London being so close, because you don't want that second wave of COVID to come back either. So I respect people more if they behave in the right manner. And of course, if they treat me in the right manner, I treat everybody in the right manner. You know, no matter where they come from, just doesn't matter. I'm equal is all around.
Thank you. And diversity now is absolutely crucial. It's certainly something that I'm constantly aware of. Matt, what about yourself? Anything?
Well, I mean, from a local authority's point of view, you know, we'll always work with everybody who wants to have their voices heard. We will work with the BLM movement to ensure that where they want that voice to be heard, or they want to meet in a public place to have a peaceful protest, we're here to help, and we'll have that dialogue with them and ensure that we can do whatever we can with our partners and the police to actually facilitate that. And the protest, or the mass meeting, if you like, outside the council house that was organised recently was fine. As far as I'm aware, social distancing was adhered to in the main, and it was peaceful, and and it got across exactly what they wanted to say, and we were engaged with that as a local authority, and we'll continue to do so. And that's that we are listening, and we'll always engage, and not just allow and facilitate a protest or a peaceful march or whatever it might be, but obviously understand the issues at hand and ensure that we as an authority are taking those forward and incorporating those within what we do as an authority, but obviously Derby as a wider collective, really.
Thank you. Julio, your thoughts?
Well, I wish we had more time.
Okay.
I'll just give you bullet points. First bullet is the movement. What it is talking about is really that Black Lives Matter as well, not only Black Lives Matter. So a lot of people are getting it twisted. Why? Because of injustice, and this systemic injustice has been there for over 400 years. That's the cry of the movement. And so what can we do to support that? Well, that can only be done through policies and the legislature. And I think we need to influence policymakers so that actually we can do more in Britain to say exactly what Ian was saying. We're all equal. And equality is I think it's more than just about racial equality here. It goes deep to our humanity. It's about us treating each other as humans, regardless. And then the other thing is that, which is more complicated, on that level, it's almost easy because we can change the laws I think, easier than we can change people's hearts. So the other level, that's a political level. The other level is actually a personal level. How can you legislate against somebody's heart condition? That's where the rubber meets the road. And so I don't know how we can do that other than for us, we can just pray that people's hearts can change. But that's where the battle is. And I think the violence and the looting or whatever has been happening across the world, and mainly in America and some of it here, is really nothing to do with the movement. They're just opportunists who are taking their chance, and they shouldn't be twisted with the movement. The movement is purely about equality and justice, period.
Thank you very much, Julio. Carl, what about any views on this?
I agree with Julio. I wish we had another hour and a half to talk. But you're absolutely right. I think the frustrating thing is that, you know, the issues around looting, you know, social distancing is irrelevant, actually. It's got nothing to do with the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, fundamentally, it was what we saw in Derby, and I will use this opportunity to pay credit to the organisers of the event in Derby. I think that they set out their stall very well. They explained that they welcomed people to come along. They asked everybody to socially distance. And the organisers themselves made it absolutely clear on their publicity that they themselves would not tolerate any violence or any aggression. And Matt's right, we did work with them from a point of view of not wanting there to be the counter narrative, you know, people coming down and criticising what they were doing. And indeed, actually, at their request, we lit the Civic building in purple as well, in solidarity. So, you know, I'm actually really proud of what happened in Derby on Sunday. I would really hope that people talk more openly about Black Lives Matter. There's some really unhelpful narratives on social media. There's some incredibly unhelpful narratives in the mainstream media as well. And I think, going back to what Julio said, Black Lives Matter is a movement, and it has got a real cause, and there are some really genuine issues that need to be unpacked and addressed. And whilst we get preoccupied with, well, were they social distancing, were protesters social, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. Nor is the point either with the looting, because the people who were doing that were not there trying to promote the cause of BLM. So as soon as we can move all of that noise out of the equation, we can have an honest debate around actually what do we mean when we say Black Lives Matter.
Thank you so much. And I'm just going to come back and just reflect for a minute on what you said, Julio, because it was the one sentence I think that really for me defines what everything is all about. You were talking about as being equal. Can you just repeat that line again?
Yeah, so what I was saying is all humanity is equal.
Yeah.
That's the core of it all. We need policies that treat everybody as equal.
Yeah, that's so that just is so clear, and you're absolutely right. We are all equal. Thank you. Sorry, Sophie. Next question. Probably the last question, actually, please.
Yes, so we've got the final question. Now that sports have started to return, what game are you most looking forward to watching?
Oh, who looks like the sportsman here? Ian, what about you? Everybody's a sportsman.
Yeah, well, it's Derby's first game, actually, isn't it? So, which will be on Saturday. So, yeah, we're all lined up for it. I've got the details for the stream. So, yeah, it'll be great just to see something a bit different, and something different from the reruns on TV, and you know, of Dr. Martin, and you know, we've seen all that before. So. Yeah, it's just a little bit of light relief, and I'm so pleased they've done it. I'm so pleased that you know we're able to sit at home and we watch it in safety. It's great. I would have thought that it'll bring some feel-good factor to us all. We'll all be feeling reasonably positive that things are moving on, and you know we are gradually moving through the COVID situation, and yeah, you know, and we can see some of our teams back in action and get some of the banter going and the fun, and it'll be quite good. And I'll be looking forward to the Formula One. Again, that's something that they can run you know, without a crowd, and yeah, that's something else I love. So yeah, I think it'll be a good weekend. You know, a couple of beers and the football. It's almost back to normal, but not quite.
You said something really important. I think that a presenter was saying this morning, it's about the banter as well. And it's almost like you can be texting somebody and you're having that same kind of banter. Oh, look at that. And, oh, no. And, you know, foul or whatever, you know, offside.
No, absolutely. And we've still got to play Forest, of course, so we can have some real banter with them lot of
yes. Julio, what about yourself?
Well, I'm glad Ian is looking forward to it. For me, who is an Arsenal supporter, and we won't talk about last night, and also also a reluctant Derby supporter, I'm not really looking forward to this season finishing because neither of those teams are going to do well, sadly. But the only question I want to ask is are they going to finish the Six Nations? That's all I want to know.
Do we know? Carl.
Anybody know?
I don't know.
Don't come to me. I don't do football. I don't do rugby.
Oh, okay.
Do you do sports?
Yeah. No.
Do you watch any sports?
Not really. No, go to Matt.
Where's Steve?
So for me, Amanda, it's the day is July the 4th. Derby versus Forest. That's the one.
Oh.
That's the one. That's the one I'm looking forward to. It's going to be a nice win for the Rams. I'm absolutely sure. So yeah, I can't wait for that one. It's a blimey, that's a noise. Did you hear that? Outside someone's brakes. Yeah, Derby Forest. Can't wait. July the 4th.
Yeah.
Matt, do you think we'll we might get into the top 6? What's your gut feeling? You know,
pre-COVID, I was a sneaking suspicion we might just make it, but I have to see really, see how that Saturday goes. Every game is a must-win really at the moment. So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, at least some excitement to get close, and then we've got a bit of excitement towards the end of the season.
I enjoyed
absolutely.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed it because I had less stress as regards sports for almost 3 months. and we start off in Manchester and, you know, losing, you know what I'm saying? It's not good for me.
Oh dear, I don't know. Right, I'm going to come round just quickly and say thank you. Just a quick final word from all of you. Just before I do that, Sophie, who have we got next week?
Next week we've got Karen Smart from East Midlands Airport and Chris Hobson from the East Midlands Chamber.
Great, that's lovely. Thank you very much. I hope Carl and Matt, you'll be here.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And Julio and Ian, I hope you'll come back. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves and I hope you'll come back.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely.
It's just, I want some quick words of wisdom from you. But final plug, garden party. Don't forget, we started, it's just have a celebration, well, tell us quickly, Carl, what is it?
It's on Saturday, 1st of August. It's International Friendship Week, and we're going to be celebrating in the city by encouraging everybody to replicate the magic that was VE Day. So what we want you to do is drag into your front gardens your picnic blankets, your picnics, decorate your house, sunflowers, sunshine, and basically celebrate all that is the new friendships that we've developed over the year, new friendships that you've developed over the last 3 months. So it will just be it's an excuse to have a party. And we've been talking about, you know, get crafty, get creative. You know, there's lots of things lying around the house. Get the kids now decorating, making props, making bunting, and let's just bring the city together on the 1st of August.
And Sophie, we've got quite a few people coming in with us already, haven't we? But we want everybody to join in. But who's we got involved so far?
So far, I think we've got the YMCA on board. We've got Derby City Council, Community Action, BBC Radio Derby, and the Derby Telegraph are all behind it. So we're hoping, for some good crafty things to make it exciting. So they're my words of wisdom. Come to the garden party.
Rolls-Royce said they'd be interested. Derby City Missions, I hope you'll be promoting it for us. Hodgkinson's Build. You know, we just want it to be a celebration. Yeah. So contact us for details, and we'll share those. Words of wisdom. Ian, what are your final words of wisdom?
To be honest, keep calm, carry on.
Sorry.
There is. I do see a lot of positivity out there, and we're doing all right. yeah, it's forward and going forward. Yeah.
Oh, love you, Ian. Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
Julio, what about yourself? Words of wisdom.
I just say, bottom line, people matter.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, cyber hug coming through. Matt, what about final words of wisdom from yourself?
Well, probably not words of wisdom, but I've got a little bit of snippet of personal news. So, as you know, I work at the in the local NHS trust, and NHS staff are having what is it called? Antibody testing.
Yes.
For COVID, and I had my test, and it came back negative. So I haven't had COVID.
Well done.
Well, yeah. Well, this is it. You see, this is it, because I was actually. My wife's been fine. My daughter, who's got diabetes type 1, who lives with me, we've been fine throughout. But I was kind of hoping, really, that I'd had it. Do you know why? Because then you'd kind of tick the box and say, well, I've had it. It doesn't guarantee immunity or anything. There's no evidence of that at the stage. But I was kind of disappointed, because I thought, well, if I have been socially distancing and adhering to everything in my work and at home, when I'm out about shopping and everything. So if I had have had it, I hope that I wouldn't have passed it on to anybody. But it's slightly disappointing, really, because then you can sort of say, well, that's done with now. So I'm one of those people that, is going to be obviously carrying on social distance, and I would do even if I'd came back as a positive sample. But I'm just one of the many millions of people that are going to be obviously waiting for a vaccine until we can resolve this.
Yeah, and we're working on that, as you know, just constantly working on that. Sophie, words of wisdom from you.
Just be kind, be patient, be safe, and as Ian says, just carry on.
Thank you. The final words to Carl. Words of wisdom, Carl, before we go.
Well, I think I'm going to pick up on a point that Matt's just made, that we are still waiting for a vaccine. People are still going to find themselves, as whether it's a result of test and trace, or whether it's a result of actually being on furloughed, that actually their current support network is no longer there. And so again, the community hub is still open. We're still there. We're ready to take your call. If you need any support with any phone, any befriending, any shopping, any prescriptions, or indeed anything, just give us a call. The number is 01332 640 000.
We know this. Thank you so much. Big love to all of you. I think it's so lovely to see you, and see you all again very soon. Thank you so much.
Just a quick one.
Yes. Sorry, Julio. Yes.
Absolutely amazing. I don't know what you're doing, but you look great.
I've got a screen cover. It's not me.
You look like you've taken off 30 years.
Oh no, it's the screen. Carl saw me yesterday. That is not the case.
filter.
Yeah, there's a filter, blurred. But thank you, Julio. You look wonderful. Take care, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Cheers.